Hi, my name is Dr. Shell, also known as Dr. Test Prep, Dr. Michelle Ehrig. Thank you for coming to this YouTube channel. I am thrilled. This is my last video that I need to record about instruction and lessons, and I feel like $1,000,000. So if you've been going through the course, this is our last instructional video right now. Yay! If you have no idea what I'm talking about, there is a free 220-page book in the description. Go ahead and grab it. It is free. At the end of this video, there is a paid version for $49 with another 700 some questions. And half of the money benefits nonprofits. Are you all ready for the last video for the AFQT on math knowledge? We're going to be talking about statistics and probability. And of course, because it's me, I'm going to start low and build us up. It's going to be a long video. I recommend not fast forwarding this one because everything matters. It's good to get the fresh review. So we'll talk about mean, median, and mode range, data distributions, including skews and spreads, probability of simple events, and making predictions. All right. I actually love statistics and probability. I don't love doing it using arithmetic and by hand, but we got this. So organizing the data from least to greatest helps with so many things. It helps with range. It helps with spread. So we'll do that sometimes. Finding the mean is just adding all the numbers up, dividing by the number of numbers. The median is why it's important to go low to high because we start from the outside and move in. The mode is the most frequent, and the range is we use with subtraction. All right, here we go. So here it just wants the mean, okay? But because I'm a teacher, we're going to do all of it. So we're going to set these up least to greatest. So I've got 72, 85. I like my students to put check marks, 78, 85 again, and then 90. Okay. Now, it probably would be better to do straight lines like this, but I like to have us do it this way because we're used to reading numbers in a line. So first I'm going to add 2 plus 8 is 10, 14 and 1 is 15. Now I'm going to add my next one. And then my next one. Yay, we just love to do that's a 0. All this math, 8 and 3 is 11 and 1 is 12. And then 90. So we're left with 410. Okay, so now for the mean, we add all the numbers and then divide by the number of numbers. In this case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 410 divided by 5. 5 goes into 41 8 times with 1 left. 5 goes into 10 2 times. So my mean is 82. That's my mean. If I had to find my mode, the mode is the number that happens twice or happens the most. In this case, 85 happens twice. So my mode is 85. The median is found by putting the numbers in order from least to greatest and checking off to find the middle. So I've got 1 small, 1 big, 1 small, 1 big. And then here we have 1 left. The range is found by taking the biggest number and subtracting the smallest number. So we've got to borrow. So we're left with 18. I'm a teacher. You're going to learn it all. Here we go for the next one. These numbers are already in order from least to greatest. So if we only had to find the median, we could track 1 small, 1 big, 1 small, 1 big, and then we're left with 2 in the middle. Whenever we're left with 2 in the middle, we just find the average. So my median is 19. Here, there's no mode because no number is put in doubles. The range is 30 minus 12, which gives us 18. And if I need to find the mean, which I'm going to show you, is we add up the numbers. $120, and then we take all of our numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we divide by the number of numbers. And that's the mean. But the answer to this question is the median is 19. There's no mode because there's no duplicates. The range is 18, 30 minus 12, and the mean would be 20 if we add all the numbers and divide by 6. All right, here's the mode. In this case, ooh, there's two modes, 6 and 10. So you know what I'm going to do is on yours, I'm going to put an extra 10. So we'll have the answer be 10 when you look at your screen. Here it says the data set has a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 39. That's a fancy way of saying the smallest number is 14 and the biggest number is 39. So all we do is we just subtract big minus small. So my spread or my range is 25. A set of values has a mean of 20 for 4 numbers. So that means that when we add these up, somehow their average is 20. So what's the total sum? Super easy. Pretend all the numbers are 20. 80. Done. Here it says we have these numbers and it has a mean of 9. Okay. So here we have 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus x equals, how many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers times 9. So we're taking our mean that they give us is 9. There's 5 numbers. So when we add all those numbers up, it's going to equal 45. So 5 plus 7 is 12. 9 plus 11 is 20. This gives us 32. And we're trying to get to 45. So we'll subtract 32 from both sides and get our missing number is 13. I wonder why there's such a delay in these problems. Okay, now we're going to talk about skew. Now, I had AI help me make this image because I didn't want to take anybody else's work, but I wanted you to see some things. When we look at skew, something is negatively skewed if the tail is pointing to the negatives. That means that there's more numbers spread out going to the negative direction to the left. Something is symmetric if it's balanced, like a bell curve is what we use in statistics. Something is positively skewed if the numbers kind of keep stretching out in the positive direction. So what I liked about this is if the mean is low and the mode is big, you're most likely going to get a negative skewed. If the mode is low and the mean is higher, we're more likely to get a positive skew. So we're going to go back and forth to this because I mess this up even when I teach it in real life. I'm just telling you the truth. So here it says, I'm going to draw like a number line. And it says that our mean is 50. And our middle number is 42, our median. So in this case, we would have this be positively skewed or skewed right because we have so many higher numbers that this pushes this way. So we would call this as skewed to the right. Two data sets have the same mean. One has a range of 10 and the other has a range of 25. So that means that their means are in the middle. One, it only goes with 10 apart, and the other one goes with 25 apart. So the second set is more spread out because their centers are the same, but it's more spread out because the range is bigger. Okay, so here we have these, look at these little numbers, and then all of a sudden we have 50. Anytime we add an outlier number, that will always change the mean. Always, because now we're adding such a bigger number to it. So like if I add these numbers up, 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 7 is 18, plus 8 is 26, plus 50 is 76. And if I divide 76 by 5, I get 15. Look at how high that is compared to all the other numbers. So that's why the mean gets messed up. The data set has most of their values are between 20 and 30. That's where most of the numbers are, but there's some that go out this way. So that would be that it's skewed right because most of the numbers are low, but there's some super high numbers. Let's see. Two data sets have the same middle. One, the numbers are super close, and the other one is widespread. So variability is how likely you're going to get the number. So the second set has the greater variability because it's more spread out. Okay, let's take a look here. We have the numbers of 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. See how pretty these are? 14's in the middle, all of them change by 2. That makes this symmetric. All right, now we're going to be looking at probability of events. When it comes to probability, we always need the total. When we did ratios, I think in AR, sometimes it was a total, sometimes it was a pieces, sometimes it was a comparison. Probability is part over the whole, and the whole is always 100% chance that something's going to happen. It can't be 150% chance something that's going to happen. That's not real math. So here we've got a bag. Oh, we got plenty of time. 4 red, 6 blue, and 2 green. So right away, I'm going to write it like this so it's easier. And I'm going to add these up. 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So 1 marble is selected at random. What is the probability it's not red? So if something's not red, it can be blue or green. So I'm going to add blue and green to get a total of 8. And altogether there's 12 marbles. So now I just reduce my fraction, divide to the top and bottom by 4, and get 2/3. Now, some people will teach you that you can subtract, like from the 1, subtract the red and get the answer. I like consistency, so I like to show you to doing the adding. All right, a number is chosen at random. What's the probability that the number is a multiple of 2 or 3? So we're going to start by writing all these numbers out. So right away, we know our denominator is going to be 12. Now we have to figure out how many numbers are multiples of 2 or 3. Well, any even number is a multiple of 2. So I'm going to circle those right away. Now I have to say, of the numbers left, what's a multiple of 3? 3, not 5, 7, nope, 9, yes, 11, no. So altogether, I circled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. Both of these numbers are divisible by 4. We just learned that on the other question. So the probability is 2/3. A spinner has 10 equal sections. What's the probability on landing a number that is both even and greater than 5? So I'm going to write my numbers out. It has to be greater than 5. So these numbers, it has to either be these. Those are the only numbers greater than 5. And it has to be even. So I'm going to fill in the ones that are even. So altogether, of all of these numbers, there's only 3 numbers out of the 10 that are greater than 5 and even. A card is drawn from a deck. What's the probability the card is a face card or a heart? Now, you probably need to know your decks of cards. There's 52 cards in a deck, and each suit, there's 13. Of our face cards, there are 4 for each. Well, let's do 3. Jack, Queen, King. So if it's a heart, we have 13 possible cards, including the Jack of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, and King of Hearts. So we've got 13 possibilities. We also have these extra 9 possibilities. So when we add these numbers up, we get 22 options out of 52 cards in a deck. Both of these are even, so we can divide by 2. So our answer is 11 out of 26. A die is rolled once. What is the probability of rolling a number that is not prime? So our numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 is a prime number. 2 is a prime number. 3 is a prime number. 4 is not, because 1 times, and a prime number is the only number that can go into it is 1 in itself. So 2 is even, but it's also prime. There's no other whole number that can go into it. 4, we can do 1 times 4, but 2 can also go into it. So that's what makes 4 not prime. 5 is a prime number. 6 is not a prime number. So the probability is 2 out of 6, and I should have put 1/3. A box contains 5 defective and 15 non-defective. So altogether, there's 20 items. An item is selected. What is the probability that it's defective? 5 out of 20. Divide my numerator and my denominator by 5, and I get 1/4. All right, now we're going to look at probability to make predictions. So we're going to determine totals, categories, and then see, like, does this make sense? Is it reasonable? So a survey shows that 3 out of 5 students like online learning. If 200 students were surveyed, how many prefer online learning? So this is our online learners out of our total. Here we have 200 total. How many people like online learning? So we could just solve this as a basic proportion. 5x equals 600. Divide both sides by 5 and get x equals 120. I went fast, but I have a whole video on proportions. 2 out of every 10 items is defective. If 150 items are inspected, how many are defective? Now you could think, well, I know 10 times 15 is 150. 2 times 15 is 30. You could get it that way. Or you can do 10x equals 300 by cross multiplying and getting x equals, whoa, why did I put 10? 30. Divide both sides by 10. A spinner lands on red 1 out of every 4 spins. If the spinner is spun 80 times, what's the probability red is expected? 4 times x is 4x. 1 times 80 is 80. Divide both sides by 4. X equals 20. My pen is super laggy. A factory finds that 6 out of every 8 products pass inspection. If 160 items are tested, how many are expected to pass? In this case, it would probably be easier to either A, reduce this fraction first, which is probably what I would do, and then multiply. But the other thing that I would do is I would say 8 times 20 is 160. 6 times 20 is 120. Because sometimes when the numbers are bigger, it's easier just to see the relationship, especially when it multiplies easy. A bag contains 3 red and 7 blue. So we've got 3 red, 7 blue. So there's 10 total. A ball is drawn at random with 100 times. How many are expected? Well, 3 out of the 10 are red. I'm drawing it 100 times. 10 times 10 is 100. 3 times 10 says that 30 times I'm expected to get red as long as I keep putting it back. A test has a 70% pass rate. So we can say that that's 70 over 100. If 250 students take the test, how many are expected to pass? So we can do some quick reducing real quick. So 10x equals 7 times 250. 14 and 3 is 17. Divide both sides by 10 and get x equals 175. And look what comes next. Congratulations, we did it. I'm so excited. All right, see you guys later. Thank you for joining me. Bye, guys. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you. The full course with another 700 questions and video answers is available at heydrtestprep.com for only $49 to get ready for the AFQT. Half of all proceeds support nonprofit initiatives with at least $10 of your purchase supporting troops and veterans. All right, bye guys. We got this.